Hey everyone, Jeff here. This YouTube video goes along with the document I have sent in the email, the key. Over the last year, the church has really become maybe what the French would call a ruche, a beehive of activity. And in that beehive, there are needs of organizing, and hopefully these two resources will be helpful. And you can always contact me if you have any questions. This YouTube video will explain a bit of Google Shared Calendar and will be a bit of a training. It'll be really basic for some of you who have used Google for a while, but I hope that it's helpful for the church and that we can be better organized. Logging into Gmail, I have a little shortcut put onto my desktop. But you can just search gmail.com on your web browser and it should bring you to this screen. You can log into your account and your password will be asked for. Once you're into your Google has these new existing Chrome profiles that you can add to it and everything, but in the top right corner you will have something called Google Apps. You can click that and search for calendar, the calendar icon. It should bring you to this screen, which shows all of your calendars and other calendars. As you can see to the left, there is a main menu here. It shows you what day we're on, what month we're on. There's a search function, which is very useful. You can type in and search, for example, if you want to know when are all of the ateliers, when they are. It's a quick reference. Useful tool. This is the settings button. I'll go through that later. This is a toggling between week, day, month, year, which is very useful. I have found that month and week are the best, and I keep mine default on week. Again, the apps and then your personal account functions. On the left is a small calendar, which you can minimize if you don't want to see it. You want to see an expanded window. And below that are our calendars and other calendars. These are very important. I would suggest having your personal calendar and the church calendar that I've invited to you clicked on. I use Christian holidays in France, and sometimes I would put Muslim holidays depending on what I'm doing, which people groups I'm trying to work with and know. It can be very useful. If you do not have these clicked, you will not be able to see the calendar and you will not be able to know whether it's already a space that's taken and blocked. As you can see on this particular day, November 2nd, there are things happening at the church. You can just look at the church. For example, right now Cafe Alfred is underway, and in the evening, as you scroll down, there is nothing tonight planned at the church on the Tuesday evening. I can overlay my personal calendar and see as well what are my tasks for the week. In the other document that I've sent out, I have sent out a list of room names at the church, as well as color codes for what all these colors mean, as well as a reservation flow chart and contact information and details. One of the first steps in order to really use this well will be to make sure that your settings are set up in a way that are really nice and customized for your needs. The first thing you will see is language and region. I have set mine to my language is English, country is France, and the date format, which is different in each country, and the hour format, I've set mine to 24-hour clock. You can set up to multiple time zones. Some of you work internationally, some of you are missionaries, so I have mine set up where my mission home base is, which is in Buffalo, and also I have Paris time working, and I have them at the same time for my calendar, which helps me not to create any conflicts with my organization back home. One of the things in the settings I will show are the default duration. When you're to create a new event, normally the default duration is 60 minutes. I have mine set for 60 minutes. You can switch that to 45 minutes if that's better suiting to you and your context. And the other thing that's useful is notification settings. I've shut mine off. I've found that I get too many emails, too many task reminders, and I need to minimize those. I do use notification settings. They are useful for one-off different events that happen during my week. For example, I have a meeting for coffee with someone I don't regularly meet with. I'll ask for a notification 10 to 15 minutes before the event, and they can be either an email or different things. But this is specifically talking about email notifications. I want to take us through a couple of examples of booking something for the church and the workflow. You'll see on the document, the preferred workflow is that the first step is that you would look through the calendar and verify if there is a space open at the church. Secondly, you will contact one of the 3 calendar masters, which are Etienne, Elodie, or myself. This would then allow you to confirm that there is nothing foreseen in the future, nothing is expected for that exact space, and you can go back into the calendar and block it off. So I'm going to take us through an example. Example number 1 I have here is that I would like to use the church on December 20th at 5 p.m. for 2 hours, and I want to use the worship room, which is called Salle de Culte. So I will quickly, first step is I will scroll over to December 20th, and I will check my time, which is 5 p.m. and for 2 hours, which is fully clear here. So first step is I verify on the shared calendar, and in my personal calendar I have no conflicts. And now I will send a message to Etienne, Elodie, or Etienne and Jeff. I will try and get hold of 2 of the calendar masters. For Etienne, his preferred communication would be an email or a phone call. Elodie would be WhatsApp or email, and for myself it would be a email or WhatsApp message. Once you have that confirmation that there is 2 of the calendar masters have notified that this is a good space, you can then click on that time zone. Since I've set this for 45 minutes as a default, it's going to show 5 p.m. till 5:45 p.m. You want to change that. You want to add a title that is specific for that. So for example, see if I am the IBC and I want to have a worship night, worship and prayer night. I will add that in. This is a one-time event, it does not repeat. If you want a repeating, you can click and change that. You can have a weekly. I'll discuss that in the second example. So the time this will finish will be at 1900 hours, so that's a 2-hour event. The 2 main things that we're really concerned about are the location to be added. So you can add Salle de Culte. Hilariously, there is actually a place called Salle de Culte in Mali, and but we won't click that. We'll just leave it like that for our purposes. In the description, you will add your contact name, so contact name and then phone number. Put your phone number, and then also here you will put church calendar. This is very important, a very important step that you put church calendar and then the color that has been assigned to you. So for the IBC church, it's a blueberry color, or in French that would be myrtille. Then you would save that. So it's fitting really nicely into that calendar there. You can see it here. Second example I have is that I'd like to have a repeating prayer meeting at 8 p.m. every Thursday night in the co-working space. So I am the Iranian church, or I am the Église Baptiste. For example, Etienne wants to have a meeting, or the Iranian church, for example. I'll go back to our week and look. So first step is I'm going to take a look at the calendar, and I see that, oh, at 8 p.m. there is actually something happening at the church. There's also the chorale gospel is already happening, but it ends at 8 o'clock when I want my event to start. I will quickly go into here and look and see that there's a conflict also with IBC Church. So this is going to require talking to IBC Church as well as talking to the calendar masters, because they are using this space co-working, and you won't be able to use that exact space. However, you might be able to use another area of the church if there is no conflict. So for example, if the choral gospel is there singing, it's not going to be maybe a good time to have your prayer meeting in the salle de culte. But if they're done at 8 p.m., then you will know that that's okay, because the space co-working is being used in the basement. So it'll be important that you know what is actually happening at that event, so that you don't have a situation where you're trying to have a quiet event for prayer, but you have the music in the background, for example, which happens often. So if you do decide to go with this night, you still can use the church at 8 o'clock, but you will need to be aware that you'll need a different room. So for example, if I want to have prayer meeting, and it's going to repeat every week, you do need to just check that you're not creating any conflicts. If you want to have a repeating meeting, you click here, weekly on Thursday, you add your location, and we're going to put salle de prière. You will click the church calendar, and then, for example, if I'm the Iranian church, I've been assigned basil. If I'm the French church, I've been assigned grape color. And then you add your name and phone number in the description. We can then quickly check, because this is a repeated meeting, we can quickly check over the next few months if this is the same thing that's happening, and we see that it's the exact same. There's nothing else that is going on that is conflicting with our meeting. So please feel free to send me any questions that you have regarding this calendar. There are some little tips and tricks that I can show you, such as setting up 2 time zones in the settings, or how to maybe access the calendar quickly. But other than that, I hope that this will help. But please feel free to give me a call.